Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
Playing on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick podcast, your #1 sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K is the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K,
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 S-I-C-K.
All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
Playing on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick podcast, your #1 sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K,
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 S-I-C-K.
S-I-C-K.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. With Tony Marinaro.
55 seconds left in the penalty, a minute and 27 seconds left in regulation time. Boston 4, Montreal 3. Lafleur coming out rather gingerly on the right side. He gives it into Lemaire, back to Lafleur. Oh!
The sickest Montreal Canadiens podcast.
You're in the ball!
Sports entertainment like no other.
Rejoint, on lui fait perdre la rondelle, une passe devant. Et c'est le dégagement et ce sera la victoire des Canadiens. Stanley pour les Canadiens, le 23e de l'histoire.
You found the dogs! John, you found the dogs! He found the dogs! And all together, they worked a young team to the top. And now, a 24th Stanley Cup banner will hang from the rafters of the famous Forum in Montreal. The Canadiens win the Stanley Cup!
Brought to you by Energy Transportation Group. Driven to be different. La Vida.tv. Embrace your true nature. And Playground, your premier gaming destination. It's gonna be sick.
Good Friday evening, everyone. I am your host for the Sick Podcast on this Friday evening. My name is Matt Ohayon, the Hebrew Hammer. I'm back. All right. Let's get the business out of the way. So the Sick Podcast is brought to you by Energy Transportation Group. Energy Transportation Group has been recently named by Deloitte and CIBC as one of Canada's best managed companies, the country's leading business award recognizing innovative and award-winning world-class companies. The best managed Canadian companies designation fuels Energy's purpose of creating progress for our customers, our employees, and our communities. Join a winning team and check out Energy's career page for more available opportunities. We're also brought to you by Playground. Don't miss Playground's August Million Poker Series from August 23rd to September 4th with $1 million in guaranteed prize pools, 7 championship ring events, and a $600,000 guaranteed main event. Located just over the Mercier Bridge, only minutes away from downtown Montreal. Playground. And by, of course, La Beta TV, brewed in Quebec and a winner of a dozen international awards. La Beta TV offers quality microbrewery beers made with premium ingredients for everyone's taste. La Beta TV, embrace your true nature. And by Murphy Clinic, who are an aesthetic clinic specializing in medical aesthetic care. They offer permanent laser hair removal as well as a wide range of treatments for skin problems such as acne, rosacea, fine lines, and more. They currently have 2 clinics, one located in Montreal's Shop Angus and their second location on the North Shore in Terrebonne. They're also opening up soon in Quebec City. Visit murphyclinic.ca or on Instagram at Murphy Clinic. All right, one thing we have to get out of the way right off the bat is I'm sorry, but this is a pre-recorded show. As you can tell by my t-shirt, this is where I will be tonight. By the time this is airing, I will be balls deep in a mosh pit at the Metallica concert. So it is a pre-recorded show. If you do happen to see me there, if you're going to, be watching this on Saturday or after the show, come say hi if you see me. This is the magic of podcasting. We could do things pre-recorded as well. Sorry for that. We will be back to live programming next week. All right. 2 big things happened this week. One involving the Montreal Canadiens happened on Sunday. Tony talked about it a bit. And another thing happened in hockey. Generally, it was a pretty major groundbreaking thing by the QMJHL. You may have heard that they banned fighting. We're going to talk about that with one of my favorite guests, Charles-Alexis Brisebois. Charles, how are we doing?
I'm doing great. That being said, right now I'm kind of jealous of you because knowing that you go to Metallica and I'm not, I'm jealous of you. I'm gonna tell you, but other than that, I'm fine.
Yeah, this is gonna be my 3rd time seeing them. I'm super excited. They're my favorite band, so anytime they come, I have to see them because when it's when they're that old, you never know when it's gonna be the last time. So very excited for tonight's show. All right, let's talk about the trade first before we get into fighting. What did you think? Initial reactions?
My initial reaction cannot be said on on air because I was really I was surprised. Obviously, one of the reasons that we may think why Jeff Petry is coming back to Montreal and it was not on his no trade clause is because no one expected that he would be back in Montreal, and it was the case for his family visibly, and it was the case for us too because I did not have on my bingo card Jeff Petry coming back to Montreal 13 months after being traded. it was long to trade him. It took a few months because the demand came during the season and the trade came in the off season. But right now, the situation is different because there is one less year on his contract. He has only 2 years. The Pittsburgh, they retain 25% of the contract, so it's way easier to trade a contract like that in NHL that's way more accountable than before, with the cap who is going to rise next year too. So it's
Mhm.
an easier sell for Kent Hughes. So I don't think it's going to take months before seeing Jeff Petry going back again.
Yeah, and you know what? I agree with you. I think he's going to get traded. I think everyone expects him to get traded.
Yeah.
The biggest thing for me is, like Kent Hughes. It's exactly what Stu Cowan tells us whenever we talk about this trade, is that he's very professional. He knows Jeff Petry probably doesn't want to be here. So he's going to tell him, listen, again, I know you don't want to be here because we already dealt with this. We're going to do our best, but if the season comes and you don't, and you're still a member of this team, that's what you are, a member of this team, and you will be professional. I will try to honor your request and send you somewhere for the right value, but I'm not going to take you on, pennies on the dollar kind of deal. So loved it right off the bat. Getting rid of Mike Hoffman, that was good.
Yeah.
I thought that we would see that at the deadline. This is the interesting part for me, is that getting rid of two players, Mike Hoffman and Rem Pitlick. I really liked Rem Pitlick for what it's worth, but getting rid of two players definitely signals to me that they're ready to, tell one of their young guys, hey, there's spots up for grabs. Go show me what you can do out there. And I'm excited to see now. Preseason is going to be really, really interesting in that respect, because who's going to take it? That's what I want to see.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have a race now for the training camp because if you include Hoffman and Pitlick, who asked for a trade, by the way, and we just didn't know about it, there were something like 16 forwards. So, of course, there were going to be a guy like Rem Pitlick who was probably going to the waivers, but Mike Hoffman was in town to stay. Now
Mhm.
you remove Mike Hoffman from the equation and you add the fact that maybe Christian Dvorak is not going to be healthy to start the season. And right now you have 13 spots and you have spot for one young guy. So you may bring Joshua Roy, a Riley Kidney, Emil Heinemann, whoever you want, whoever has a good training camp and deserves to start the season, you can bring him up. And if there are some injuries during the season, which will happen, obviously, you're going to have some spots for the young kids. And if one is cold and one is hot in Laval or whatever, you can switch them up. So you're going to have to une compétition à l'interne, as we say in French. So everybody's
Mhm.
going to compete against each other. So that's going to be really interesting. And the fact that Mike Hoffman is gone now, instead of, for example, as you said, at the trade deadline with 50% retention, it's really a huge advantage for Kent Hughes because he now has way more room to work with Martin Saint Louis and all the forwards.
Yeah, excited to see, like so much hype around the players that you mentioned, namely Joshua Roy. I'm really, really excited to see him at the NHL level because, it's always, first of all, it's always exciting when it's a Gud chez nous. That's the first thing. But when it's a 5th round pick on top of it, that is just, he has Conor Bedard complimenting him. He has, he's ripping it up in the queue, and he played super, super well for Team Canada at the World Juniors. That's always a very, very exciting prospect. And I think a lot of people, we're going to see if he can handle the pressure, because that's already, I'm sure he's feeling it a little bit. Wouldn't you think?
Yeah, probably because he had such great seasons since he was drafted. And don't forget, he was a first pick overall in the queue 4 years ago. So we can see the potential, but when he was in St. John, it was not great for him for whatever reasons. We don't know exactly why, but once he was traded to Le Phoenix de Sherbrooke, it was way better for him. And he has a lot of confidence now that he can use, as you said, with Team Canada. He was with the Laval Rocket last year during the run for the Calder Cup. He played one game, if I remember correctly.
Mhm.
So he has that. He has a lot of experience. I think for a guy who doesn't who still needs to have his first full pro season, it's really interesting. And if he starts with the Rocket, it's going to be fine too, because a young kid needs to develop in Laval in normal circumstances. So I think he's going to go to Laval. I think he's going to acclimate to the pro level, and I'm pretty sure, I'm pretty confident to say that we're going to see him at some point during next season.
Oh yeah, you'd have to think that he's, with the way injuries have gone for this team in the past 2 years, hopefully it's not as bad as it was, but there's going to be an injury. I mean, that's just hockey. So, you'd have to think he's number one on that list right now. I'm saying, there are obviously guys who really impressed. Like I was at that one game that the Rocket played in the playoffs, and there was one player who really stood out to me, and it was Emil Heineman. I thought he was flying all over the ice. Just some things to polish, obviously, but for a young player like that to just be having the confidence playing against men and, being everywhere on the ice in a game where they didn't do much. I think they lost 4-0, and they had very little offensive chances in that game. It's quite something to stand out in a game like that. So that'll be exciting. And hey, they got a second round pick too. People love picks. They got a second round pick out of it, and a goaltender, Casey DeSmith. So what do we think about that? Now they have 3 goalies. So is that an insurance policy? I'm not so sure.
Yeah, they added a lot. They added Nathan Légaré too, who's going to be in the mix. Maybe if he has a good beginning of the season, he could be a call-up. But the case of Casey DeSmith is really special, because right now there are 4 goaltenders, if you include Caden Primo, who needs to go through the waivers to go back to Laval or whatever you want to do with them. I think it's expected at this point that Primo is going to go through waivers, that he's going to go to Laval. That's said, but there are still another goaltender that you need to remove from that lineup. And anything can happen in the NHL. So I don't think it's the case, and I have nothing that believes me to believe that it's going to happen. But maybe Jake Allen is injured and he's going to receive the Matt Murray treatment, and he's going to go on the LTIR. It's possible. Maybe maybe he's going to be traded. I don't think it's the case because of his contract, but maybe he's going to be traded. Maybe the negotiation with Samuel Montembeault are not going to be as good and as expected. And Kent Hughes, who said to Montembeault a few days ago, "You're here to stay," maybe he's going to change his mind. So these are all scenarios that can happen. But right now, I think that the most likely is to see Casey DeSmith being traded to another team before he plays one game for the Montreal Canadiens. Kent Hughes didn't talk to the media for days before after the trade. Jeff Petry didn't talk, and Casey DeSmith didn't talk too. You saw Nathan Légaré giving interviews to many reporters. The second pick obviously doesn't talk, but Casey DeSmith didn't talk, and we don't really talk about it because I think we're all focused on Jeff Petry right now. But I wouldn't be surprised if DeSmith could start the season somewhere else, if he could be traded in the next few days, few weeks, or whatever. I'm not sure he's going to be in Montreal for the golf tournament.
Yeah, I'm in a complete agreement with you. Not a lot of people are talking about Casey DeSmith. It's so interesting because this is like, we know Kent Hughes now is looking for another trade. Like, we know it, and it's exciting because of what he was able to get for trading Mike Hoffman and the haul he was able to get. It's like, what's coming next? What kind of crazy masterclass move is he going to pull now? Speaking of masterclass, Kyle Dubas didn't do too shabby on that trade either. He only had to give up 1 first-round pick to get a 100-point player that last year. So that was quite something. But I'm excited to see what they could pull off next, because I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Montreal could still retain 50% of the 75% of his salary. So that can, and Jeff Petry just lost a step, but he's not, he's not a pylon out there on the ice. So that's something to me that can fetch a first round pick. That's a defenseman with a lot of experience, and a lot, like, you saw it when he got injured in the playoffs. The Canadiens were lost against Tampa Bay when he went down. So I'm expecting a pretty big haul for Jeff Petry, and I think there'd be a pretty big market for a defenseman like that.
Let's talk about the 50% retention that Kent Hughes can keep also. Right now he's in Montreal for 75% of his contract, so $4.6 something million.
Yeah.
So Kent Hughes can keep up to 2.3. And I think the fact that Kent Hughes as such a return for basically Mike Hoffman and Rem Pitlick, which had no values in Montreal anymore, it's because he took for me the guess that he could turn those contracts into something, and he proved it in the past. So I think he said, yeah, okay, give me Jeff Petry at 75% and give me Casey DeSmith. I think he's at $1.8 million for next year.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he said, I can do something with that. If Kent Hughes wanted to have traded Jeff Petry at 50% of his current value in Montreal, I think he would already be gone. So I think for me, the thing that blocks the trade or something is the fact that he says, yeah, 2.3 is a great acquisition for anyone, but can he be a good acquisition at 3 or at almost $4.6 million? I don't think he wants to retain a lot of money because since he became the GM of the Montreal Canadiens, he retained salaries only on at the deadline for the end of the season, and the only exception is Joel Edmondson for 1 year. Jeff Petry has 2 more years, and next year the salary cap is going to be way higher. He's going to have a lot more leverage to use for the free agent. So I'm not sure he wants to have himself $2.3 million on the cap for Jeff Petry. I think he wants this amount to be significantly less. So I think that's what is blocking right now. He wants to retain not no salary, but as less as possible.
All right. Well, it's an exciting time. I mean, last week I was talking with Stu Cowan. It wasn't so exciting because there was freaking nothing going on.
Exactly.
And then 2 days later, Kent Hughes gives everyone in the Montreal media this gold to talk about for months to come until training camp starts and then preseason. So just very another exciting time to be a Montreal Canadiens fan. So let's talk about the big rule change now that happened in the Q yesterday. So for those who don't know, new rule in the Q, no more fighting. So I'll read the first 2 paragraphs of this. In order to prevent physical and psychological violence that may result in minor or serious injury or in extreme circumstances, death, the QMJHL is responsible for establishing rules of intervention when a fight occurs between 2 or more people during a game, regardless of whether they are players or other team members. Rule 47 of the playing rules, starting with the 2023-24 season, that's this upcoming season, provides for fights being prohibited with more restrictive and dissuasive sanctions in order to emphasize a safe quality of play conducive to the development of hockey players participating in QMJHL activities. All right. Right when, you know what, let's your initial reaction on that.
We heard about it for a while. We knew it was in the cards, so I was expecting that news. I don't think it's such a bad idea because some of those players are really young. You can come in at this league at 16 and you play against guys who are 19, 20. Sometimes they finish the season at 21. So it's 4 or 5 years more than you, and at that age, it's a really big difference. I would have liked to see something like if you're more than 18, you can fight, and if you're less than 18, you have to have a full face so we can recognize you on the ice or something like that. I think it would have been maybe a little bit more appropriate. But if you want to protect the very young guys of our society in Quebec and the Maritimes, you need to establish some rules like that. I think because we are aware of the consequences of the concussions. We see that those young brains are not totally developed at 16 or at 17. So having those measures to protect them, I don't think you can be against that reality. That being said, I'm curious to see how it will affect the hockey game and the fact that are those players going to be drafted or anything. That remains to be seen. But for protecting the young guys, I don't think it's such a bad idea.
Yeah. So my initial reaction was I loved it, and I still love it because exactly for the reason you said it. Like these are 16 to 20 in some cases 21-year-old kids.
Yep.
Just thinking of the longevity of hockey, I'm going really macro right now. Hockey is already a dwindling, not a lot of people are playing it anymore. More people are picking up a basketball or a soccer ball in Canada. That's a fact. For the people who are going to destroy me in the comments right now, this is a fact. One of the reasons, of course, it's a very expensive sport to play, but the other reason is it's even in non-contact leagues, contact happens and you got to protect a kid's head. Like you got to protect the brain because 0.01 of minor hockey players will make it to the NHL. I don't know if that's an actual statistic, but if someone told me it, I would believe it. So this is the part that like really bothers me was the reaction to it. People commenting, this is so soft, a snowflake league. I'm done watching this. First of all, you never watch the Q, so shut up. Who are you? Second of all is like, it's just hockey. Like everyone was like, oh, there's going to be more cheap shots. Well, Mario Cecchini, who's now the commissioner of the Q, is a very, very smart guy. He's going to have probably a pretty big meeting with the officials saying, you're also going to be cracking down on, plays that are not a part of hockey, the cheap shots, the extra hacks, whatever the case may be for what people are making the argument of what players are going to get away with. But the biggest thing for me is that like people are like, fighting is a part of hockey. No, it's not. It's an illegal play. It's an illegal thing to do in hockey, which is why you get a 5-minute penalty, sometimes a 10-minute misconduct, sometimes you get kicked out of the game. So this is not a hockey play. It's barbaric, and I'm not okay with 16 to 20-year-olds fighting. So good on the Q for doing that. In the NHL, I'll be honest, I enjoy a good hockey fight. Sometimes it needs to be done, but when there's a clean hit, a 16 or 17-year-old is going to throw a clean hit and, knock someone on their ass. I don't want to see them get pounded in the face for that because they got to answer the bell for a clean hit. It's ridiculous. People are so against headshots for a multitude of reasons, which are very valid. What's the difference between a check to the head versus multiple punches to the face? There's not much difference in terms of concussion giving. So for all those that are going to destroy me in the comments, go right ahead. You don't hold the same opinion of me. That's your right. But, in the NHL, sure. Have fighting still be a thing. It's dwindling anyways. We're lucky to see one fight every 5 games anyways. So, that's okay. But in terms of, minor hockey, I think that this is a great move and that no fighting should be happening. I could see your side of like 18 years old and older, go right ahead. But still, again, like most of these guys aren't making it to the pros. So you really want to make that choice and be roped into something that most of the time you don't really want to do anyways, because there's no stage fighting in minor hockey. So I'm all for this.
And you want those players to be really versatile. You want them to be able to not do one thing on the ice but do many things. And if they're just there to fight, it's dangerous for the others around them. So maybe they're going to need to adjust their game, and it may improve the quality of the play on that front. And another aspect that we're not talking about is the psychological aspect. You ask many guys who were fighters in the NHL, they were afraid before a game when they knew they had to fight against Georges Larac or a big guy, So it was terrifying. So if it's hard for an adult, it's going to be hard for a 16, 17, 18, 19 years old too. So if you remove that factor, the QMJHL could be more appealing to guys, because you're cleaning house on the on all the things, the bad things that we're hearing on the Q, and the initiations that were stories that are unveiling from the past years, and you remove the fact that they cannot fight on the ice. Maybe the players are going to feel way more safe to play in the Q. So that's an important aspect for 16, 17, 18 years old.
Yeah, and you know what? Already, I'm pretty sure they were getting suspensions if they were fighting as it was. I think that was already a thing in some cases, or if it was like you were done for the game kind of thing. Like if you fought, you're out for the game, it's over. And I just think it's great. I think it's great because I think hockey doesn't need fighting. And I know people think it sells, but like, I think of the Canadiens against the Bruins all those years ago. I think the Bruins won that game 8-5, and there was a line brawl, and it was like, but before that line brawl, there were like fights every 2 minutes, and I'm just like, man, can you play hockey already? Like, what is going on here? Like, that's what people really watch. Like, you don't see the NHL marketing, with all due respect to these guys, Nicolas Deslauriers, or back in our day, it was like, who was it? Logan Shaw was brought into the Canadiens. Like they're not promoting these guys. They're not promoting a Ryan Reeves. They're promoting their stars, and that's the way it should be. So I just think it's a good idea. Anything that has less contact with or less probability of head injuries is a good thing for the sport, and I think people need to realize that, because it's not really a matter of, sure, there's fine, you want to have a fight. Most of the time it won't result in much, but those times where I was in the building when George Parros got knocked out onto the ice, I was there when Mike Brown hit him in the face and he fell to the ice, hit his chin on the ice. His career was over after that. Like, I don't need to see that with a 16-year-old. That's just, I can't believe this is up for debate for some people, and like they're like totally against this, taking a hard stance. It's just it's insane to me.
And imagine, I know he was playing in the OHL last year, but Arbor Xhekaj was in the NHL last year, and he was fighting against all of the biggest guys. And a few months before, he was in the Canadian Junior League, so he was in the OHL, not the Q, obviously, but it's the same level. Imagine a guy like Xhekaj against, even if you're a big guy for the junior, you're not Arbor Xhekaj's size. So it's insane to think that there are some guys like that, and you authorize fighting against guys that are way smaller. So I think it's way more prudent this way to ban the fights in the queue. And people are still gonna go watch games, I'm pretty sure.
Exactly. Like if the small, very loud sect that says this is horrible for hockey, fine, stop watching. First of all, I doubt you're going to stop watching. You're going to continue to watch because it's hockey and it's probably your favorite sport. But like, anyways, it's insane to me that people are just so heavily against 16 to 20-year-olds fighting. And it's like, they don't know how to protect. They're not going to know how to protect themselves. Well, guess what? Like teams I remember when the Canadiens got Shea Weber, and it was like, nobody is going to touch Carey Price now. Nobody. I don't know. There were like multiple clips of people crashing into Carey Price, and like Shea Weber's on the ice. He's just like not doing anything, or he'll throw a cross check, or he'll get in the mix on a scrum. He's not fighting people, because fighting is a detriment to your team, not only to yourself and to your brain development. It's a detriment to your team on the ice. So like it's a selfish play all around anyways. So yeah, good move for the QMJHL. Charles, thank you very much for joining us. Always appreciate it. And we'll talk to you in the very, very near future. Hopefully, we'll have another trade to talk about when Jeff Petry and Casey DeSmith get traded, and we could talk about the implications of that trade. Enjoy your weekend, my friend.
Absolutely. Thank you, and have a good show, man.
Thank you very much. Now it's time for 6 Sports Cards.
6 Sports Cards. Presented by Sports La Tornade.
All right, he's with us. It is Tornado Chris. 6 Sports Cards is presented by Sports La Tornade. Sports cards, collectibles, and more. Visit the store at 1 Avenue de la Fabrique in Vaudreuil-Dorion. It's been a long time. I thanked you over text. I haven't had the chance to thank you in person, but it's a while ago now. But thank you for the amazing Max Crosby pillow that you made for me all those months ago for my gift exchange. Very, very much appreciated. My friend loved it.
Good. No problem. Thank you.
His wife didn't love it so much, but so it's in his office, not on his couch. But hey, he still loves
Okay.
it, and he
Yeah.
sent me a picture of where he's hanging it up. It's really really cool, and I can't thank you enough, Chris.
No problem. Thank you.
All right, so let's get this thing going. We haven't spoken a while, so it's a new season in the NHL coming up. That means new cards coming out, new additions. What are some of the hot new releases coming up?
Well, we definitely have some hot new releases that have come out and some that are coming out. I feel I got off my track of mind after your last discussion with the fighting. I lost track. I was going to be one of the guys that bashes you in the comments, but anyways,
yeah, it's okay.
It's like you said, it's a difference of opinion, but I like it. Some people don't.
But hey, listen. I always said I got time for an NHL fight when it's merited. I always have time, but when it's a 16 to 20-year-old kid, let's leave that to the side. That's what it is for me.
I just feel like if you ask any NHL GM right now what his top 3 priority is for a playoff push, winning a Stanley Cup, they need that guy. That's one of the key points. Yeah. They need one of the key points. I don't know if you remember. A couple of years ago, Tampa just ran over everybody all season long. They just they beat everyone. They finished first, and they went up against Columbus and John Tortorella four straight, and he just roughed them up with every goon that he had possible. He just roughed them up. And anyways, so new releases. When we come to baseball has been hot this summer. Topps Chrome Baseball. That was a big one that came out in the last 2 weeks. So currently we're waiting on a restock, but we definitely sold out of Topps Chrome Baseball. There's a lot of hot new Ellie De La Cruz stuff.
Well, that's what I was just about to ask you about him. I wanted to know, like, what's I'm pulling an Ellie De La Cruz rookie card. Did I just win the lottery?
Yes, you did. Yeah, in the Topps Chrome Baseball. Yeah. There is some other stuff like Metal Universe Champions. It's kind of a mixed of all sports. That's where you're going to get your Tiger Woods, your Michael Jordan kind of stuff. It's multi sport. There's also Goodwin Champions, which is also a multi sport that came out. Upper Deck Ice, which is very popular. It was late coming out because of COVID, the backlash of COVID. So Upper Deck Ice was a 21-22 product that came out. But now we just got in MVP Hockey yesterday. MVP Hockey is a 2023-24 product, which brings out our first look at a Conor Bedard card. There is not actually the Conor Bedard card physically in the box, but you can get a redemption card in which you send away, and when he does sign and when his cards do come out, you will get a card mailed to you by Upper Deck. So they're called redemption cards.
So that comes in the pack. I open a pack of cards and it's going to say, like, it's basically a voucher, right?
Exactly. It's going to have a little scratch, little piece of the card is going to be a scratch. You're going to get a code. You go on the Upper Deck Redemption website, you enter your code, and they'll ship you your card.
Okay, amazing. So just quickly, just to go back to the, I love hearing the prices of these things because I love it. It's great. Ellie De La Cruz rookie card. What's that been going for these days?
The Topps Chrome Ellie De La Cruz right now, I'd have to check the comparison on eBay. There's probably not a lot sold, but like I'm gonna say $200-300 to start off. If you get it,
that's one that we played that game, right? Like keep, buy or sell. That's one you're buying that. You're buying that at $200-300.
I'm buying, but a lot of people that are getting that card right now are sending it immediately to a grading company to get graded. So if it comes back, then you're looking more 700-800 at a good like PSA 10 or something. So I think there's a De La Cruz. Baseball is a bit tricky too because there's a prospect card. So it's called the First Bowman Chrome Auto, which came out last year. And then now this year would be more of a rookie card. So there's like a prospect card, there's a rookie card. So you can have some names in 2 different years, where in hockey, it's not like that. Everything will be in the same year. But baseball has the prospect card, which people tend to think that one is worth more than the actual rookie card.
Okay. So let's go back to the Conor Bedard thing. So you get this code. They'll ship you the card. That one, I mean, you must have won the lottery on that one also.
So MVP is the first box that comes out every year, and it's pretty much, I want to say, targeted more towards kids. It's a lower end product. It's a cheaper box. You can pick up an MVP box right now and anywhere between $80 to $100, and you can have a nice opening 24 packs like you would like a Series 1 or a Series 2 that comes out later this year. And a lot of the autograph cards are like a stamp. It's not like a hard signed on card auto. You can get some that are sticker autos. So, they'll send Conor Bedard a whole thing of stickers. He'll sign all the stickers and then they'll stick them on the cards. That's another form of getting an autograph, but not as good as like later on when he signs actual cards. So MVP is a lower end product. So saying you won the lottery for that product, yes, you won the lottery in that certain product, but there's much more to come this year that's going to be worth a lot more than the MVP Conor Bedard.
Okay, gotcha. So you're not like you're over the moon because it's pretty cool that you got a Conor Bedard card, but it's like wait, till the top of the line product comes and start rolling your dice on that product.
That's right. So you hit the biggest card of that series.
Okay, gotcha.
But there's different series, some worth more than others.
So what would be, it's the end of the NHL season right now, 2023-24. All the products are out. What's the one where it's like, this is big time?
So the biggest product that Upper Deck makes is called the Cup. Though they've been asked many times if they're going to come out with anything bigger, and they always say no. The Cup is the end goal. That's the NHL standard. Is everyone wants the Cup, and that's their highest product. Is called the Cup. That's when you get that's when you're hitting jackpots. That's when you're hitting the big time. You're talking couple thousands, many thousands of dollars if you hit a rookie. And when it comes to the Cup, your card will be a rookie auto patch. So you'll have a piece of the patch of his jersey. It'll be autographed. It'll be rookied. It'll be numbered to 99, numbered to 49. They'll stick some 1 of 1s in there. So you can get low numbered cards, and those are the big ones that everybody, well, I want to say everybody, because the Cup is not for everybody. It's a certain collector, the big time guys that will go after the Cup.
So let me ask you this now, because Agnello so graciously told me to ask you this because he said you're going to get very excited when I ask you this.
Yes.
What is a live sports card break?
So live sports card break is becoming more and more popular. Started a couple of years ago, where not sure who invented this, but it's just become huge on everybody's platform, and it's all over every single social media, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, name it, it's all there. It's basically a share of the cost. So if you can't afford to buy yourself a box of the Cup, say a box of the Cup is $1,200. Well, this is a way of getting into a possibility of getting yourself a nice Cup card. So what we would do is we pick out random boxes. We'll pick 3-4 boxes at a time. It could be different series, and we can stick a Cup box in the live break. And what we'll do is we will total the cost amount of each box. So if all 4 boxes total up to $1,000, we will take how many teams there are in the league. So if I take NHL, for instance, 32 teams. So I will divide that $2,000 divided by 32, come out with a number. So if it comes out to say, I'm gonna like $26, right? And I, as a store owner, I need to make a little bit of profit. So I'm going to sell each spot at $30. So I can sell a spot at $30, 32 times. You buy a spot, you say, I want out of 32, I want number 9. So I give you Matt Ohayon, number 9. That's your spot. Once I fill all 32 spots, I'm then going to take all 32 NHL teams, put them in a randomizer, and I'm going to random off. I'm going to random those teams, and you're going to get assigned a team. So then you're going to get assigned a team. So you get, with the number 9 spot, you get assigned the Montreal Canadiens. We are then going to go live on Facebook in our group. So we have a breaking page only. We do live sports card breaks. It's called Sport La Tornade Breaks. It's on our it's actual Facebook group. You can join. You can ask to join the group. We bring you in. You can now watch the live video of myself or somebody in our store opening those 4 boxes. We're going to open those boxes, and everybody watches. Everyone writes in the comments. Everyone gets excited about what we can possibly pull, especially out of the cup box, because you know, if we pull a Cole Caulfield rookie auto patch, well, it's going to Matt Ohayon because he's got the Montreal Canadiens.
Oh, okay. That's a cool system. I love that.
So all the cards that go, like every card that would be Montreal Canadiens would go to you because that was the team that you were assigned. So it's a bit random. Sometimes you get assigned a team that you don't necessarily like. Sometimes you can trade it, but sometimes you're stuck with it, and you never know. Sometimes there's only 1 or 2 autographs per box, and it could fall on your New York Islanders team or your Calgary Flames or someone that you don't necessarily want, but you actually got the best card in the box. So it's kind of gambling. It's a bit of gambling, but people are so into it and the fun of opening the boxes. And I find that it's great for the market just because it puts more cards out on the market. And just after, when you go to shows and you go to all these conventions, stuff like that, there's more product out there. And if you ask people, hey, where did you get this? Oh, I got this on a break. Guys shipped it to me. You know, once the break is done, we divide up all the cards to who they belong to and we ship them, or people can come pick them up at the store.
I really like that because it's also like, you know, I like watching. I was more as a kid, more into I had my fair share of hockey cards, but I was into the Pokemon and the Yu-Gi-Oh cards. And like every so often the unboxing or just a pack opening pops up on my TikTok and I'll watch it. So, but this is a cool way. Like it's way more interactive because like you're a part of it, you know, it's a million times better than just watching some guy open and be like, oh, look what I got. Well, look what we got. And now it's yours.
Yeah. So there's actually 2 forms of live breaking. So I explained to you the first one, which is called Team Random. So it's you're randomly assigned a team. There's other ways of doing it where you can divide the teams and you can put a price on each team and you can sell each team individually. So if I'm looking in the series of 21-22, Caulfield's the big rookie. The Montreal Canadiens are going to cost more than, say, a Columbus Blue Jackets that has not that many good rookies. And, you know, that spot might sell for $20 and the Canadiens might sell for $100, but your odds of hitting the big one are more. So those are more specific. They're called team select. So you can do a team select or a team random where you sell either you sell a number or you sell a team.
I love that. I love that a lot. I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you 2 more questions.
Go ahead.
How are the Joe Burrow cards doing?
The Joe Burrow cards are non-existent right now in my store.
Okay.
All sold out. But I don't know. Every now and then, I guess, you know what? He's such a great quarterback, but like he's in like the AFC is just crazy good.
It's stacked.
It's just stacked, and like it's going to be tough. I don't know what happened. I didn't follow up on his injury. He was fine, right?
So Yeah, so he's fine. There's no specifics on the calf strain, like on a timeline, because our coach is better. Zach Taylor is better than anyone at saying nothing while saying a lot of words. But he basically said several weeks. From that point, there was 6 weeks to the season. You know, the way I see it is, you had a couple beers with your friends. That's 2.
Yeah.
You had a few, 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Several is 5, 6, 7, 8. So
That's right.
that's where I'm
So
at right now.
For Joe Burrow, you're close to missing the wave. If you were to buy some Joe Burrow, you would have bought it in the last 2 months during the offseason. That's where you would have got a better deal. But now preseason has started, and now we're starting to hear more talk about football. And once the season starts, that's where you're going to get the prices are going to go up when it comes to Burrow and Mahomes and Allen and all these guys. Their prices will go up as the products are starting to come out more and more now with football. Right now, football, there's 2 lower end products that came out. But once we get into the more popular ones, that's where you're going to see the price hike for football.
And my next question for you: how you feeling about your Colts this year?
You know what? I have not studied enough on this new quarterback. I just hear and read odd things. I don't know enough about him. But for the last 3-4 years, I find like that's the missing piece is the quarterback. We have a great team all around.
Always a great defense. Always a great defense.
Absolutely. And we just need that. The quarterback is the most important piece, but again, being in the AFC right now is just such a tough. It's gonna be tough, and
I'll say this: the biggest thing, I'm not expecting a lot of the Colts this year. However, the biggest thing you have going for the Colts is that you're in the weakest division in the AFC.
Right.
So there's the Jaguars and they're the hot team right now, but they went 8-8 last year. You know, I know they finished strong, but the fact is they went 8-8 or 9-8 or whatever it was, because they added another game. So that division to me is always up for grabs. It's always a weird one. So I think you have that going, and I really think that Anthony Richardson, I think he's going to be not the best right off the bat. Like, he's not going to be dynamic right off the bat. Could be a Justin Fields situation where this season he plays and you're like, this guy's a bum. And then next year he plays and you're like, oh, this is the guy we drafted.
Yeah, this is the guy. Yeah. Well, hopefully that's the case. But if I try to do a prediction before the first game.
All right.
I just can't bet against Mahomes. I just can't do it.
Oh my God. Yeah. Well, come on. Yeah.
I think he's going to win more. I just think he's going to continue.
Well, it's crazy because, I'm a guy who's I hate Mahomes, but I don't hate him in terms of how I hate, the Boston Bruins or the Toronto Maple Leafs. I hate him because he's so good.
Yeah, exactly.
It's so it's I respect the hell out of him. So I have after the Bengals lost to the Chiefs, my friends were asking me, who are you betting on? Who are you betting on in the Super Bowl? I go, but I'm not betting against Mahomes anymore.
But the two last seasons, I feel like it was the 2 best football games I ever saw was Chiefs Bengals and Chiefs Bills. That game against the Bills 2 years ago was that was by far the best game I ever watched.
Yeah, by far. And last year's AFC title game was incredible because, the one when the Bengals won, they were down at one point, I think 17 or 18 points. I had lost hope at one point. But then obviously they clawed their way back. But this past year was back and forth, blow for blow, heavyweight against heavyweight. It was exactly what it was supposed to be. But yeah, I'm just excited. I'm excited for football to be back.
Perfect. Good. I had one more thing to talk about.
Sorry. Oh, hit me.
We have now in store, we have something new that we've started. We have joined forces with a company called Slab Sharks. Slab Sharks is a eBay consignment group that does a lot of advertising, and they're big on all platforms. And we send a lot of cards there. They do weekly auctions from Thursday to Thursday. Anybody who has anything to sell that would like to consign, you bring it to us. We go through Slab Sharks. They have the best rate, percentage of return on your cards, and it's a very easy process. And you get the most exposure with Slab Sharks. It's a very good option for anyone looking to sell.
So that's like you would become, like when you say in terms of recognition, like a very like high rated seller, that's the best place to be a high rated seller.
Well, that's it. On eBay, a lot is exposure, how many followers you have, how much feedback you have. So with my store, I can put it on my store also, but I don't, it's hard because I have a store. They just do eBay. They just do consignment. So their main focus is to every day put up publicity like, oh, look at this big McDavid card. Look at this big, they really push your card and they will really advertise it, where if I put it on my eBay, it's there, but I don't necessarily put out advertisements and stuff like that. And they have thousands and thousands worth of feedback. I'm in the hundreds right now. So it's definitely a good option for people. And it's always cool to follow the auctions. They get a lot of hits on their auctions.
That's well, there you go. That for all the card junkies out there, you have another avenue. And
Exactly.
And the biggest thing is, if you have any questions, you call this guy, because he's the guy that knows anything and everything there is to know about cards. So just tell us one more time where we could find your store.
Yeah, we're in Vaudreuil-Dorion, right on the 20. So it's 1 Avenue de la Fabrique in Vaudreuil-Dorion.
Tornado Chris, it's always a pleasure.
Thank you very much. Have a good day, Matt.
Yeah, and enjoy your weekend. All right, that's it for me. I'm off to enjoy what is to be a very, very exciting Metallica concert. Hopefully, any percentage point better than the Guns N' Roses one. If you know, you know. Thank you very much. We'll catch you next time.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow The Sick Podcast with Tony Marinaro on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts. The Sick Podcast is brought to you by Energy Transportation Group. Driven to be different. La Vida TV. Embrace your true nature. And Playground, your premier gaming destination.